Hey, Chris Lipe here for the Recording Revolution with a video about the endless pursuit of great tone. I remember hearing a story one time about John Mayer being on stage, just ripping it up. He puts down the guitar he's playing with, and someone from the audience throws him a subpar, not in tune, cheap guitar. He puts it on, tunes it up real quick, and just makes that thing sound amazing. I've also suffered greatly in the past from GAS, gear acquisition syndrome, where I've amassed a collection of guitar pedals, bought all the plugins, been down that road of thinking that acquiring and using different amps, different amp modeling softwares, different pedals is the pursuit of great tone. That's not the case, as I've come to find out. You might have also heard the phrase, the tone is in the fingers. And I don't necessarily fully agree with that either. I think that there's absolutely room for finding the right gear and putting it to use and learning about it. We have to have the mindset, based on guitarists that we really love, that the endless pursuit of tone, or the pursuit of tone, is not about having so many different options. It's about knowing your playing, being truly introspective and positively critical about your playing and your phrasing, and finding and getting to know just a little bit of gear, a little bit of tools, a limited amount, and putting them to use in the ways that serve your unique playing. If you're a guitar player, great. If you're someone who produces music and you're directing other guitar players, what we're going to go through in this video is going to help you immensely draw the right performances and the right sounds out of the people you're working with. And if you'd like more help going in depth with the techie side of things, click the link below and download my free PDF. I'll walk through typical virtual signal chains, cover the basics of getting great tones in the box. And in this lesson, we're going to bring the two worlds together: gear and equipment and approach and mindset. And using just a few notes, we're going to see how powerful this simple way of thinking can drastically improve your tone. Here's the simple phrase. Loose timing. One more time, based off of the 12th fret, third finger. Nothing special. The tone, as we're hearing it right now, isn't anything special either. Put a pin in that. And follow me in. I'm going to discuss the tone briefly. And then we're going to draw the tone out, the good sounds, the emotion. And you're going to see a huge transformation. If you watched the last video I did on the channel, you'll see that this isn't much different. I've dialed back the bass a little bit, heavy on the mids, no reverb. My gain is cranked here, but this is a primarily clean amp. But this is stock Logic stuff. Then I'm using Channel G as an expander. This is by McDSP. It doesn't really matter. You can use anything here. I'm adding a little bit of compression after the amp, and I'm gating after the amp. And then just a little bit of EQ. I'm taking a bit of 200 out, get rid of some of that mud, and rolling off around 80 hertz. As maybe a bit of trivia, but this is very useful, your lowest string on the guitar, that fundamental tone is an 80 hertz tone if you're tuned to A440. So this E, that is 80 hertz. Not a lot of useful information is below 80 hertz. So if you start rolling off around then, you're going to get a cleaner, punchier sound and leave room for your bass and other things. Then I've got simple delay. This is the same just stomp box style delay that I had in the last lesson, but it is not synced. Simple ping pong delay that you can hear, feedback's dialed back. I've created a high cut so that it seems a little bit more like a trail, and I actually have no reverb on this setup here. I've narrowed the stereo image just a little bit. I've also got a G drone track that we're going to be working with as we muse over this phrase and develop our tone. The great thing about practicing with drones is that you can do anything you want over them, but you have a really neat tonal center, a grounding. But rhythmically and phrasing-wise, you can experiment a ton. We're going to do the job of being intensely introspective and experimental with these notes. Pay attention to our pick attack. Pay attention to whether we're picking hard, or maybe we're hammering on or pulling off. Maybe we're bending. Maybe we're bending with vibrato. Maybe we're going to do a little rake. We're going to insert tone with touch. We'll make tweaks to the tone that we already have, or to the sound that we already have, as our playing and as our idea begins to take shape. This is how you build tone, with touch and mindset. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to experiment with a slide in and some staccato. Already adding a little bit of vibrato, a little bit of slides, a bit of finesse. That tone is starting to come to light. But you know what I realized? It's a bit bitey for me. So I'm going to roll off using my tone knob, just a bit of that bite. I'm not even going to go to the amps yet. Maybe I'll EQ later, but... Now I'm going to experiment with some bends instead of some slides. Ooh. I added that little hammer on afterward. And some of those other notes bled in, which happens to be a G minor sound. That sounded really neat, and it was an accident. Now, I'm going to experiment with, I did that little rake here, you know. What if I did another kind of rake instead of a slide in? Instead of doing this, what if I did this? And then maybe what if I went, instead of up here, what if I followed it down with a little sort of aside conversation kind of thing? So something like muttering after the line or lick has actually happened. Follow it with my body. So what if I added that? Ooh. What I've just done is I've inserted tone into a tone. I've taken finesse, ideas, techniques, simple techniques, and I've intentionally placed them into a group of notes. I've developed a lick, and I've drawn the tone out of my gear and out of the sound that really wasn't there in the beginning. You don't really notice that healthy bite that I had to roll off a bit of. You don't notice the delay trail, really, when I'm doing that. But when you do this, and you hear it ping pong because I'm staccatoing that with that little rake, it sounds really neat. You bring out those tones. You also bring out that glassy sound of the Strat with that bend and that particular pick attack. If I was doing it just like this, that's a completely different tone, I would argue, on that note. It doesn't sound as good. It has a broken up sound. Whereas this, that has a very much rounder, yet more present sound than this. It just sounds flat. Even slid up to it. Even if I went like this. Oops, like this. That's an okay sound too. But there's lots of intentionality happening here that goes into crafting your tone. And this is so true about every style of guitar playing and every style of tone generating or sound crafting. I'm just using a lead example with a relatively clean sound for the sake of argument here. But if you're doing really distorted sounds, metal guitar or, aggressive rhythm or Stevie Ray Vaughan style stuff or whatever it is, how you touch the guitar, how you approach the pick attack, the decisions you make as far as phrasing, hammer-ons and pull-offs and bends and are you doing upstrokes or downstrokes or all those sorts of things. Those have, in my opinion, infinitely more to do with the end tone that people hear and go, oh, that guy has great tone. What they're really saying is that guy has great finesse, that guy has great touch, and he's using what everybody else also has available to him to create a great sound. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this drone on, and I'm just going to muse over this very simple phrase. And I'm going to maybe not audibly call out different things like I have been so far, but really experiment with the different kinds of emotions and textures I can pull out of this little line over the drone. And I encourage you to take this same line, play a G5 chord on a keyboard patch and loop it. Try the same thing. What kinds of things will you discover? Instead of the pick. Huge difference in tone there. The sky's the limit. What kind of basic sound can you dial in? And how can you push it and discover what it can really do based on your phrasing choices, based on your emotional and physical engagement with the instrument? Taking basic techniques, slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, rakes, pick attack. What can you do? And see how it influences your tone. I guarantee you, your tone is going to improve greatly. Again, if you want more help with the nuts and bolts, click that link below and download my free PDF. We'll see you for more.